What's up, Mortgage Coach community? I am doing something I don't think I've ever done it before. We're going to call this Black Belt Training. So, Mortgage Coach Black Belt Training by Grandmasters. And this idea really came from Sosi Avila. So I feel like, Sosi, you've got to be the first one that I do this with. So welcome to the call, man.
Thanks so much, man. Really excited to be here again.
Well, I'm excited to do this black belt training together. I asked Scott Nicholson to join us just because Scott is a grandmaster like you, and he's always pushing the envelope with creative ways of using Mortgage Coach and the total cost analysis. So think of Scott and I as like co-host of this whole thing. What's up, Scott?
Hey, Howard. Hey, thanks for having me. I'm sitting in the back seat of the David or the Mortgage Coach, Suburban right here, and check you guys out for the next few and add some color into that.
Yeah. So see, the way I remember the conversation, you pinged me on a Saturday saying, Dave, I got an idea. And I'm like, and I had time. I'm like, let's talk. And we talked on a Saturday, I think 2 Saturdays ago. Mm-hmm. And the way I remember it is you're like, hey, Dave, you're doing all this great training, but it'd be really cool if you showcase people like me. And I've got like ideas and strategies that I want to share with the community. And I also want to learn. Like I'm always looking to upgrade it. So, I mean, I think you almost said like, hey, let's do this Scriptapalooza, but for black belt mortgage strategies. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that definitely summarizes, I think, the heart of it all. I got to back up and go to Scott here. Scott, a Suburban, the David Suburban, it's more like an Escalade, bro. This is like all like high class stuff, dude.
Dave's a Chevy Suburban guy, I think.
Oh man. Okay, we'll settle with that then, since it's his preference.
Yeah. No, I'm a Lexus 470 LX guy. I've had one for 20 years. So
I love it. Well, yeah, Dave, the big idea, right, was I love being inspired by this community. Right. If I can share one thing that I feel this community continues to produce, minus the really fun little marketing strategies and the great way to present yourself overall, is coming from that statement that usually people share, the people who are best at sales are great marketers. This community takes it to the level up and shows the people who convert and hold the most client retention are great teachers. And so I love this community because we're able to really help each other become ninjas, black belts, whatever kind of illustration we want to use. We really help each other think through this in a different manner, right? I'm doing a course right now with select agent partners on the Challenger sale. And every single week we meet, we go through chapter by chapter. How do you think like a challenger? And it's been neat because so much of this community, so much from Scott, so much from Josh, Ryan, Jeremy, all these big hitters has been able to influence just the psyche and the way we think through concepts and the perspectives we take. So my goal in doing this was really to just be able to open up the conversation and say, hey, let's all share the things that we've kind of deducted and concluded from the brainstorming activities we've done through this meeting. Let's all now share what we have found to be super helpful and then level it up again. And so I'm really excited to do that. If I'm the guinea pig, awesome. I got some things I think are cool. And then we could just dive into others as well.
Yeah, well, I am looking forward to doing it because I also asked Suzanne, who's our director of e-learning, to join, because we know we have a lot of content, but we want to do a better job of creating micro content. And then we also want to do a better job of organizing this content. So Sosi, when you told me about your idea, I'm like, hey, this is perfect. Because now I can create some trainings around strategies with an intention that we're going to build this into our training platform. So why don't you go tell us some of the things you're doing in the market as a grandmaster. By the way, folks, Sosi has done over 1,900 total cost analysis. So he's a master at giving families advice, teaching them strategies with Mortgage Coach. Sosi, how did you do on production this last year?
We ended the year with serving 151 families for 77 million here for our 4th year in originating.
So 4 years in the mortgage business, and he's already just killing it. So really proud of you, brother. And I love how you always start with family served. So what do you got? What do you want to share?
Yeah. So the point to kind of the Mortgage Coach and starting and all that stuff, I got to share it real quick before I dive into the actual presentations. One of the neat things about Mortgage Coach is when I first came in, I didn't even know what the heck a car loan was, right? I came off of the missionary field, barely had 2 pennies rubbed together, was looking at mortgages coming out of 18 bucks an hour of wage with a marketing job, and said, you know what? If these guys can do it, I'm gonna at least try. So coming in, I learned mortgages through Mortgage Coach. I learned it by going, why does this have like this drop down option of single premium funding fee? What is all this stuff? And those questions provoked me to go get answers and, you know, become kind of a guy who thinks out of the box. And so as that continued to evolve, the Scott Nicholson influences started kicking in, right? Like, well, how do you play mathematics with the seller buy down and the credits and all this stuff? And so as we've been going through helping families, being in the weeds, being in the trenches with all this stuff, the question we keep getting is clients who say, I don't want to buy yet because I'm anticipating the crash and I want to wait until I get a good deal. And also clients who are so overwhelmed with fear, they're paralyzed on the other side of it. They're looking at it and they're going, prices have risen so much, I'm not even going to try because I give up just under the common conventional wisdom thinking since prices went up, I no longer can afford it. And so with those two issues, I wanted to try to create some mortgage TCAs that would help people think through it differently and help them walk away with what they should have in their mindset. So if you want, I can dive in, but go ahead.
I want you to dive in. This is a mastermind, guys. So we do have about a dozen folks who joined us impromptu on Facebook. And if you resonate with those challenges, like, are you getting referrals from realtors? Are you talking to families? That those are some common pain points. Also, if you're watching the recording this in our YouTube channel, let us know, are you resonating with those issues, or what are the issues you're having the most issues with, you know, or the most common issues you're having in the marketplace? Because we're going to do more black belt training with grandmasters like this. So let us know what else is going on. All right, let's rock.
Beautiful. All right, let me share my screen. So one of the big questions, right, is affordability. I work in 2 different areas, so I had to create one for Orange County, one for Riverside. And one of the things I've seen is, at least for our strategy, what has worked really well is any means of success to changing the psyche, the way a client thinks, is making sure you set up the right platform. So for us, every client we do work with does go through a 30 to a 45 minute, sometimes an hour Zoom meeting. And in that Zoom meeting, we prepare it and set the stage for them to show up and go, okay, I'm going to learn something, right? So my production partner, my client specialist does the first initial intake call. We get them pre-approved before we meet. And when I come on to the conversation, the very first question I ask after the quick little rapport building is, how do you learn? What is your preference? Do you want to know details? Do you want to know highlights? Should we go into more as we just review highlights? How do you guys learn? And to be honest, I still go over the same stuff no matter what their answer is to a degree. But what it does is it makes their mindset click and go, that's right. I'm going to come in here and not try to do a cutthroat game of seeing what the lowest cost this guy can give me. I'm going to come in here and learn something. I'm going to come in here and try to walk away different than I first entered. And so for those that do have the fear of like, okay, prices have gone up way too much, right? What I've done is we walk through it. We go, okay, so when were you looking at buying that you're so regretful? Usually what we had on average were people who said, well, I was trying to buy about 2 years ago. So I showed a scenario, okay, 2 years ago, let's say the house in Orange County you're trying to look for was 650. Looked up Freddie Mac, saw average rates at the month they were looking at, and it was 4.5. From there, I show them that their monthly payment would have been $38.87, 650 2 years ago. And they're just like, oh my gosh, I can't even, and I don't even show them this screen yet, right? And they're just like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what it would be now. Well, how high do you think that house went up? At least 100 grand. Okay, well, let's take your hypothetical, right? And if you see what I'm doing, I'm letting them set up the stage or the dinner plate of what we're gonna devour together. And when they say 100 grand, I show the 750. I show average rates today. And Dave, I love your little Mortgage Coach widget there that shows average rates. I love opening that up for clients to show them what the average 30-year mortgage rate is today. And then the conclusion, right, speaks for itself. So you're scared to buy today. You don't even want to move forward with the pre-approval. You don't even want to move forward with even trying because in your mind there's a roadblock from 650 to 750. But if you look at what we're actually looking at here, that house today at 750 is more affordable for you than it was 2 years ago. And this isn't even including the fact that, if you're not of the ages of 19 to 27, where most people felt an impact from COVID, if you're not of that age group, most likely you've experienced a really great pay increase in this. Affordability for you is on another level, right? And that's kind of the first presentation. So again, I wanted to kind of share some stories on mine end of how I've come to this, but I'd love to hear from you and Scott, how you guys would devour this, what else you would do, and how we can even level this up to an even more effectiveness for the client.
Scott, you want to go first? Then
No, sorry, I was muted. Host goes first. Come on, you know the rules of engagement in here.
okay, I was going to let you go first, but so first of all, I love the fact that you're tailoring and you're teaching, and you created an aha for a client. So you found out what their concerns were, you put it down, you're walking them through this story, and I, depending on where you're at with that conversation, I think like we're good to go. I do think depending on how concerned they were about waiting, you might do another column where do you, if you don't buy now and you wait a year from now, what do you think is going to keep happening with values? Oh, they're going to go up. How much? What do you think is going to happen to rates? Yeah, I think they're going to go up. Oh, and maybe, show them like now's the time. Do you ever do that, Sosi? Sosi? You're
Sorry
on mute,
about that.
maybe.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I do that. And that's where we just analyze more wherever their objection is, we dive more into answering it. So if we do say, okay, we're going to wait, then we show, okay, when rates go back up, what is that actually going to do for you in the long run?
Yeah. So I think to anyone listening to this, being a black belt we call this the cost of waiting. So now there's a lot of versions of the cost of waiting. Scott, I'll let you go, and then I'll add a few more thoughts. We'll go back and forth, and then we'll get another strategy from Sosi.
Yeah, I think this is really powerful. Because all those consumers are waiting for that deal, right? They think something, a shoe's going to drop or whatever's going to happen, right? And then, I have these conversations almost every day or weekly, and then what I show them is when rates go up. So I'll take the payment of $38.87, right? They were, so you started column 1, 18. What was the purpose of 18 again? I'm sorry, column 1.
That was them saying that's when they felt they should have bought.
Oh, got it. In that 38.87. So what I would have shown, I would have then brought in the rate, right? And then when it starts to go up and say, you know what I mean? So I would add another column of showing them as they're waiting and prices continue to go, right? And you're going to show maybe a tick up, then maybe they lost some buying power. So, like the whole seller buy down, right? For every dollar in rates, $3 in price. $3. So if the price maintains, but rate goes up, then that just deflated their whole buying power. So now they got to go get the same house, at a quarter or 50 basis points higher in rate. They've just lost affordability. You know what I mean? Instead of getting at the rate now and letting that ride.
Yeah, I love it. That's really good. Yeah, I think that's super powerful, right? And what I've seen as well on when we do the cost of waitings, there is a generic, hey, this is what it looks like. And Scott, I'm sure you can speak to this. I've seen a different impact or kind of impact on the client when you show them the one that's already created and when you walk through it with them.
Right. And the consumer doesn't get the financing. That's why it's so powerful to do this in live, right? Yeah. Like you open the link, I'll open the link, let's jump on. And they don't realize like, oh shoot, I was more locked on price, not realizing the whole financing aspect to it. And then when they start to see like, oh shoot, I could be waiting here for quite a while, but also I have a lot of risk in the game because if this thing ticks up just a little bit, and you show me like column 3 and 4, same price point as they go a quarter up or 50 basis points up, how much they've lost in payment wise and affordability.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, it's good stuff.
So
And I'm sure then you can even take it to the next level of, instead of waiting and seeing your payment go up, if you're even okay with that higher payment, here's what a reduction payment would do for you in canceling this loan out even faster.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know, yeah, I would, yeah. That, I mean, that's all it is. They're buying payment in a way. Give me in a payment.
Yeah.
see, get ready to show another one. I want everybody to think of a few things. So, first and foremost, it's important that you're asking the right questions. You know what the client's goals are beyond the transaction. And then it's important that you're using technology to communicate more effectively, more efficiently. And obviously that's giving them options with Mortgage Coach, putting a video on it, having an interactive conversation. The purpose of these black belt trainings are really simple. It's to help you elevate as a mortgage professional, elevate as an advisor. The highest award is a Grand Master. Both the gentlemen on the call right now have done over 1,000 total cost analysis. And then these are the core 12 strategies that we teach in our Wednesday training. So every Wednesday, 11 o'clock, we're just training you on these, where you have a mortgage coach success manager who is a trainer. And they always like, hey, where's everybody at on the call? What strategies do you want to learn? And we try to tailor it based off of who's on that call. But think of it as like a group coaching session every Wednesday at 11 o'clock. So why do we do this? Because we believe that when a family gets the status quo fee worksheet, they are underserved. Like, that is not good advice. When they get a mortgage coach, they're getting options, they're getting strategies, they're seeing the cost over time. And that's our mission. Last year, 2020, we created 1.7 million of these. Sosi, Scott, and thousands of other loan officers. And this year we want to create millions of these, 3 million of these through our network. So that's what this is all about. So Sosi, why don't you frame up another story or strategy? And then Scott, why don't you be ready to see if you can wow Sosi with an idea or a strategy?
Yeah, I love it. Dave, to kind of dovetail off of what you're even sharing there with the group, right? And I'm saying this even as a reminder to myself, right? As loan officers who want to take it to the next stage, and as loan officers who have the conviction that families today with conventional wisdom will not make right decisions or the best decision in and of themselves, left alone with the type of standard mortgage loan originator we have in the industry, right? For those who have that type of conviction, everything that I hope to be able to see produced from bringing up this topic is that all of us either sharpen our tools or get new tools in our belt as we build this path for the client to get from where they're at to where they should be, right? And so for me, again, a lot of times these clients are just coming in with objectives that they don't even want to start the concept. And even these presentations I'm showing, I've done this in front of our realtors, and it helps them to think differently in how they share with their clients. Because not only are we having clients who are overwhelmed with the price points, we have weary, tired, and discouraged realtors, right? They themselves are looking at it. And so we get to come in and bring this new level of energy. We get to bring this new empowerment. We get to bring truth that sets people free to do what they love to do, helping others get into homes and families entering into a new aspect of wealth and legacy building that they never even knew could have been possible. And so, sorry, Dave, I see you wanted to jump in.
Well, I wanted to hug you. I mean, you are so good with your words, and I loved the fact that you brought real estate agents into this, because you're right. I guarantee you, most real estate agents don't know what you just showed. Like, when you show them, hey guys, this is what it was X years ago, values have gone up, but they don't realize, and that half of success, whether you're a real estate agent or a mortgage professional, it's your confidence.
Yeah.
It's the inner confidence you have, and it's the clarity that you can create for families. So anyway, Sosi, that's all. I didn't really have anything to say other than I just want to give you a big old hug.
I love it. Thank you. Yeah. And honestly, it usually, when I do these presentations for realtors, there's one group that I religiously meet with once a month, and we meet for about an hour and a half. And literally, loan product is the last thing we ever talk about. I forget to talk about loan products at times, right? Because we talk about business strategy, we talk about growing, what is coming up in the future. And then I create these TCAs to kind of be a little encouragement for them at the end. And I'll tell you, if you don't do that, if you're looking at, well, how do I just like help my agents hype up and get into another level? What data are you giving them? What are you having them think through? Right? What we think through is going to affect how we feel, and how we feel is going to affect our actions. And so we have to go to the source of it and ensure that as good partners, we're bringing the data, the value that needs to be brought so these families can be served appropriately.
So, hey, real quick, before we show the next strategy, what you just showed was how you would help a family that was dealing with the concern that and the regret and the energy that, let's face it, that's going to not, they might buy the next home, but they may not make the offer they need to get the house, especially in today's market. So you're really helping that family get clarity that jump now.
Yep.
But are you doing that with realtors? Like, is that a strategy that you've done a lunch and learn, or that you would include in a meeting with a realtor? I just want to make sure I got clear on that.
Yeah, I do. And the reason being is because when boots hit the ground and a client is having to make a decision on how their offer is going to be, one thing I started noticing is if the realtor isn't actually trained with logic, they won't know how to support the client in making that decision, because they themselves internally will be like, I don't know if it's worth it, right? Because a lot of realtors that I've seen out kind of just in regular trainings, everyone's had this concept, and I've been at events where people are like, when is the right time to buy or sell? And everyone agrees in unison, now. That's baloney, right? It's not the right time for every person. And so being able to help an agent go from an emotional confidence to a true standing firm on truth confidence now allows the agent to be the advocate you're looking for with the client when rubber meets the road and they need to make offer decisions, or with the client when they're just at a party wondering, should I try to tell them to buy, right? Because they have all these internal contradictory things. When you show them this, you now get to empower advocates on your behalf, ambassadors on your behalf, to help you help these families even more.
Love it. Well, what's the next one?
Cool. All right, Scott, you're going to have to jump in here, man. I'm really excited to kind of hear you. I have to hear myself all the time.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. I was riding the back seat of the Suburban. I'm in the third row.
And remember, Scott, you need to be ready to bring some wow right after this one.
So now we're switching gears, right? Again, all of this is to do with the objection handling, both for the client to get past their own paralyzing fears and for the agent to have a new sense of energy on how to help the client down this path. So this is going to be the same concept, but now on the side where a client is saying, I don't want to buy yet because I think that the market's going to crash. I would be surprised if not everyone on this call, or even everyone in this group, is not a KCM fan. And I hope I said that, keeping current manners. Yeah, KCM, right? So looking at all the data they give us, the amount of recessions that have had prices increase, the amount of actual active foreclosures we have right now, aside from all that data, which should be our first go-to, when you silence a client with showing them that their perception of a bad economy being now is actually not right now in the same way they perceive it to be, this next conversation goes to the heart of their problem, right? Every time, and I learned this from Mortgage Coach, every time there's an objection, there's usually a deeper thing being asked. I think it was actually Josh Meadows or Jeremy, or it might have been you, Scott, who brought it up of how when people ask, what's your rate? What they're really asking about is, will you care for me? I don't want to get ripped off. And the only way conventional wisdom has taught me to think is to ask, is your rate low enough for me to feel comfortable that you're not going to rip me off? Right? And so when you hear people say, I want to wait until the crash, generally the heart behind that, what I've seen, is they want to make sure they're getting a good deal. If you can help them understand they're getting a good deal, they will move forward. This is a hook, line, and sinker, no contest type of argument. I'll speak with anybody on this because I've seen it play out over and over with the clients that are even saying they're not going to move for 4 years, right? I had an engineer client do that argument with me. I had another very high analytical argument or client do that type of argument with me last week. And as a challenger, we work in the tension, we show them data, and we help them conclude a new conclusion, seeing us as the only guide that can help them through that path. And so coming to this concept, right? Somebody who goes, okay, I'm just going to wait for house prices to drop. What I've seen be helpful is going, okay, let's look at something. You thought house prices were going to drop in 2019, didn't you? Because if COVID would have hit and the economy would have crashed, you would have thought they would have dropped, right? Well, yeah, that's why I think they're just going to drop any moment. Okay, I just showed you all the data. We know that statistically and from a numerical position, we're not in a state of the economy where that's probably going to happen. But let me show you this. In 2021 of January, the average rate was 2.65. In January 2019, it was 4.51 according to Freddie Mac. What that shows is that your monthly payment today would have been $500 cheaper than the monthly payment in 2019 when you were also thinking prices were going to drop. So therefore, if you want to look at that for the heart of the matter, with rates being so low, it's equivalent to that $600,000 house dropping $95,000 in that current rate at that time. Because Mr. and Mrs. Borrower, if in 2019 houses would have dropped by 95 grand, would you have bought it? It'd
of
be
course.
hard for one of them, right? Yes.
Yeah, like, of course.
This is what you got now. The same payment you would have had then, actually $6 more expensive back then if it dropped 95 grand, you have today with the way rates have dropped.
Wow.
I'll pause there because I know there's so much Scott can add to it.
Yeah, that's exactly. I did a very similar presentation to this, to where I showed them January of 20, right? Almost before the pandemic went full fledged, right? We were at 3 7/8. Then I showed them pandemic, and then eventually we're going to get post pandemic, right?
That's good.
And so basically, the pandemic created $95,000 of value for the family to buy now. Because here's what's going to happen. You have two forces that are happening. And this is a question I ask my clients: is which one will happen sooner? The vaccine and somewhat of a handle on COVID, or do you think we will increase stock and increase inventory to create a balance in supply and demand, knowing we have massive material shortages, land shortages, not a huge urgency to build from builders and all that stuff? Which one will happen faster? Probably COVID, right? So once COVID is maintained and we're back to normal, column 3 is moving back up to pre-COVID levels of rates, meaning we're still going to have a supply and demand issue. So prices are not going down, but we know rates are going up. You just lost your 95,000 in your COVID special.
Wow. That's good. That's really good. I love that. Scott,
So it's all framing to reality, because they can say, let them choose on what occurrence is going to happen. Inventory issues are going to be solved, or COVID will be solved at some point. I'll take COVID all day long.
I love too that, if I hear that correctly, what you're doing is you're putting that story brand into it, right? Where you're making the client the driver by letting them fill in the gaps, having them now look through the windshield of what is actually ahead, looking at the rear view mirror of what's behind, and you're just being the guide of where they're going to be going. Absolutely. That is super powerful.
Yeah, and absolutely. And it's something to where, and I think they all believe in that too. They understand that, the inventory is not going to change. We're 3 or 4 or 5 years away from any type of balance, unless there's like some major foreclosure or forbearance issue that came out of nowhere that we can't see, which we'll know at some point, but that's probably not going to happen. That'll be taken care of by the servicers at whatever level, but we'll have COVID figured out. We'll be 3 7/8, no problem. Yeah,
that's good.
And then that was before COVID started, which we show them there. And so this is good. This is very good. Good job. This is taking
right back at you, dude. I'm excited for my next video now. Post, during, and pre.
Hey, Sosi, how many strategies do you have ready to share today? Just so I could pace the call.
Well, those were the two highlighted ones I wanted to go through. I definitely have some in the library I can kind of tap into, but it's really just based on your guys' kind of desire, and also I wanted to learn as much as I can try to give here. And so if there's anything else too, I'd love to kind of hear it and see it and try to take away from it.
We'll try to get one more simple strategy ready. Scott, I'm going to hand it to you in just a minute. I did want to make sure that this was valuable to a black belt who wants to become a red belt, a brown belt that wants to go to black belt. But like what Sosi just showed you, if you're a white belt status and you haven't done 50 total cost analysis, you're probably like, wait a minute, like I'm playing checkers. I'm used to fee worksheets. Families looking to buy a home. Here's a purchase. So just, you got to, like what Sosi just did, don't do it unless you've used Mortgage Coach 50 times for just your standard pre-approval. I mean, you might try it. Like I know Sosi, if he saw this and he was on his 5th TCA, he would give it a whirl. But I want to make sure you guys learn how to use Mortgage Coach in blocking and tackling. Whether it's a refi and you're doing a simple rate and term refi TCA. I'm showing the one from Danielle Riggs yesterday, or Danelle Riggs. I interviewed Danelle yesterday. So you by any chance didn't get a chance to watch this interview, did you?
I started it this morning. And from what I heard, it was pretty stinking awesome.
It was amazing. I think whether you're a white belt, watch this. Whether you're a black belt, watch this. And I just want to show this one because this is so simple, but it should be such a standard where when you're meeting with a family and they're looking to buy homes, she's just talking about how point options. And I think TCAs like this get underrated. And one of the important things in today's market, and especially as rates start to go up, online lenders, big banks, a lot of lenders are always going to be quoting points. And so you just want to make sure, again, you're asking the client the questions. I think when she talked about this one, she goes, I could smell a little shopper on this client. Like I could feel that I was going to get shopped. And so this is what she used. So I just wanted to show this TCA. We will put a link to all of these down below. Sosi, if you could either email me or go into the stream, like this is a Facebook Live, and share each of your TCAs, or just forward them to me and I'll do it.
Will do. I love it. Yeah, I will confess the ones I love the most, I need to start saving because they come out in the conversation with the client. For example, last week I was on one and they were originally looking at just an investment property and to just do that. And then I showed them, what if we would sell and buy and purchase a primary and an investment, because you're not really happy in the one you have and you don't really like the cash flow. And then even what if we sold and just bought a way bigger house that you're just going to want to be in that way. And so we did that, and they ended up actually listing with the agent. They're selling, they're going to buy bigger, but I've already readjusted that TCA because now they're shopping, and I show them a 4 different scenario option in the price range they're in. So sadly, a lot of my favorite ones get modified afterwards because they stick with the client. So I need to get in the habit of making a new one for the client and just giving them a new link. But with that being said, one that hasn't switched over, and I'm just going to be super transparent here. It was an interesting scenario that I've never seen before. And this is going to be a very basic, at least to me, it's basic. And so if it's helpful, awesome. If not, no worries. To kind of play out this piece of helping the client conclude for themselves the right step, right? There's a client who came over to us and he goes, hey, I want to buy in 4 years. They don't want to run credit. They don't want to do anything. Great. Let's not do any of it. We went into this strategy and I just showed them, okay, here's with all the qualifications that I see you have right now and the savings you have, $800,000 purchase price, 2.875 interest rate, 4185 monthly payment, 55 grand worst case scenario out of pocket. And they look at that and they're like, wow, okay, 4,200. Oh gosh. And again, the thought is, okay, in 4 years, this is going to be really great. So then I, again, take them through their own kind of thought process. So you said 4 years. Average appreciation of a house is 3.69%, at least for the last 80 years that we've seen per some stats. With that, let's just play it out. So let's see 800,000, and I do this in front of them so they can see it. 3.69%, worst case scenario, 29,000 plus 800. And I just keep going until we hit 4 years. We ended up at 920. So what do you think the interest rate's going to be then? Oh, 6%. well, let's not get too crazy. Let's just say 4.5, right? Here's your monthly payment, $600 more. And this is if you end up saving another $144,000 in down payment. Jaw drop, right? So then I go, okay, let's cut that in half. And we ended up looking at in 2 years, $860. What rate? 3.75. $400 more expensive. And another 50 grand. By this time, the guy was really intelligent. He goes, I see what you're trying to say here. And so the next objection he had was, okay, what if we had a little bit more savings? And so then I said, okay, well, if we have a little bit more savings, 10% down is a really fun loan. And so when we look at the monthly payment, I actually did single premium here. Yep. I said, I'll show you the lowest monthly payment you can do on a 10% from my experience. 10% single premium MI, explained all that. He thought I was like just a wizard. $38.87, his words. $40,000 more doesn't actually save me that much more. He's like, yeah. He goes, okay, I need to talk to my wife. And, we ended the conversation really, really well. He was like, I think we might actually move forward with the pre-approval. So we talked about that objection of, should I get pre-approved now? Should I wait? Talk through all that. And then, interesting enough, and the reason why I'm really proud of this is because I tried helping this client understand that their way of thinking was not correct. The influences they've had might not be the best influences to be able to get and collect data from. And I hope this isn't offensive to anybody, but in my personal opinion, there's a very low standard in our industry to become a loan officer, right? I was shocked that, in my opinion, it seems like all you have to do is become, legally show you're a good person, and great, you can help people with hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. And so, speaking this way with him too, I was really happy to see him click it in his brain and go, there's something different here. So much so that this guy's a great individual. He's a part of an organization, and in his organization, his sphere of influence, there's another guy in there who obviously does loans, right? Every time. And I don't know if it's helpful for you guys, but I always use this illustration with clients because what I kept getting irritated with was I would spend an hour and then the client would hear something from somebody else and they would totally discredit everything I was sharing. So what I try to share is, depending on what type of life or where in life they're at, if they're married, I'll usually remind them like, okay, so you remember when you first announced you were going to get married and you're like 50-year-old virgin uncle who's probably been in -2 relationships, tried giving you marriage advice on how to be a good husband. Remember that? You're going to get that again with this. As soon as you start telling people with excitement that you're going to get a house, everyone's going to talk to you about rates, about advice, strategies, all that stuff. Any time that comes up, because my time, I can't be super exhaustive on everything, let me know. We'll walk through it and we'll talk through it. With that foundation, he comes back and he goes, okay, so I met this guy and he calls himself a mortgage coach. I was like, oh, sweet. One in my community. Different type of mortgage coach. His whole strategy is he finds a client and then he takes that client's information, shops 7 different actual loan officers, not even brokers shopping different, actual loan officers.
What?
Finds the cheapest quote, gives them back to the client, and charges them a premium as a finder's fee. And this guy started putting so much doubt into the client that when we finally went into detail, he came right back to me, goes, okay, this is what I'm finding. I'm just trying to be a responsible human being, not trying to be offensive, but here's what I've discovered. Teach me. The fact that he came back and trusted me to teach him again, for me, shows that this stuff is right to do, right? Setting up that platform to always be the source of verification no matter what. And so we walked through it. In that situation, I showed him what all-in pricing meant, where I can go as competitive as I could be, and we won the deal. And the guy is now pre-approved with us because for us, we actually ask people to not use our pre-approval letter or use us as a resource unless they have a full commitment. Because for me, to use my pre-approval letter and use all the efforts I do to get your offer accepted is like going to a restaurant, eating a dish, and then saying, you know what, I don't think I like this anymore. I'm just gonna walk away, right? Same concept to me. So with all that said, that's this scenario. I probably said a lot more than I was thinking I was gonna. Scott, take it away, please.
Yeah, no.
Hey,
So
so you owe us 3 TCAs. Either forward them to me via email. Go ahead and stop sharing your screen. So let's see if Scott could do a show and tell that wows us a little bit more than Sosi. Can you outdo that?
I can. I'm going to try.
I don't think you could. I don't think you could do that, because I was like each time going, wow, like putting myself in the in the mind of a client,
Right.
and I was surprised.
Okay, so let's figure this out. Can you see my screen?
We can.
So
you're gonna start with the
What is
the
this
Lender
fancy
Launchpad
website?
yeah.
All right.
So
Okay.
there's a couple things on that. So going back to that presentation, right? Before I jump into this, where is it? I had them open here. Just 2 cents on this. And most what the client doesn't realize in column 2, the 810 down, all that's 98,000 of income to qualify, right? So if you do the income to qualify in the fourth, it's 132,000 it's 132,000 to qualify. So not only are you going to wait, but do you realistically think, let's say it's a school teacher, for an example, do your pay increments bump it to where now you're going to be able to have 132,000 to afford to qualify for this in 4 years? Probably not. You know what I mean? So that's an 18% jump in income needed just to chase that payment in 4 years.
Scott, that is, I mean, I have a mic here because at this setup, I have a table mic. I would drop it if I didn't need it for the rest of this conversation. That is really good stuff, man.
And so, because that right there, comparison, they get it, right? They're interested in payment, they're looking for the deal, but then they realize you hit them with reality and like, yeah, they're always constantly maybe worrying about, living in California, can I afford it, right? And then you hit them with, you can buy the house now, and I can do it on your 98,000. Or if you want to wait the 4 years, we're going to need that 132,000 in the W-2 to catch it, and that's where they go, I can't. So let's just jump in now. So now here's the thing I'm going to go. And so this is something why you were talking, sorry, my ADD kicked in. I go, these strategies are so unbelievable to where, and you kind of said it a little bit, I wish I had that one teed up, or I need to go get that ready to show. What we all need to do is take our great content in our mortgage coach library and have the ability to share that content. Because what you're going with realtors and you're presenting, right? Especially buyer agents, they really need our help. They are just getting the redheaded stepchild treatment now.
Hey, easy now with the redheaded stepchild thing.
Right? How do you create value for your buyer's agents with consumers, right? And allowing them to say, hey, I'm going to make us a presentation and I'm going to show them a cost of waiting report. So I dump this in here real quick. I drop your report, right? And then now you're going to be able to market this into your agent. So your video would pop up and away you go. So now you've created as a single report on that particular idea, waiting for the prices to drop. And now your core referral sources can grab and say, hey, I need you to send your report. I know you guys are thinking, I need you to watch this, right? And it has all your content on here, has your social survey, it has all your stuff, and this is
time out. So a couple of things. I want people to connect that Scott has taken a mortgage coach total cost analysis and built a web page around it using Lender Launchpad. Yeah. And so now it could be a custom domain. It could be a link that you send to the realtors.
Yep.
You could have used this, Sosi, a combination of the actual total cost analysis and the web page. Yeah. And then if you scroll down, you'll notice, scroll down a little bit, it integrates the social survey. It's cool that you've done that. It integrates with Optimal Blue, the same data feed that we built into Mortgage Coach. Pretty cool. Awesome. Nice job. And then it's got your information. I just wanted to make sure people knew what they were looking at, Scott.
And there's that call to action that I did a custom little 30-second. Hey, family, so let's just sit down based on your credit, your goals, your needs, book an appointment, boom, boom, boom. So what you've done is you're now delivering that presentation in this, environment. But not only that, is when you build one, it automatically goes into your TCA content library. So now you have all the greatest of reports you have that you put your titles on, and now that consumer or that agent or whatever, anyone that wants to find you, you can market this. Now they're looking at all the videos. Oh, buying your first house. Do I know the? So when they click on it, there's that report, right? And I'll show you how easy this is to make. And I did it while I was watching. So you would come in here, grab new. You would figure out which report do you want. I know you do YouTube. You can dump a YouTube in here. You can dump a Loom in here, right? So let's say Mortgage Coach TCA. I'm going to give it a title. I'm going to drop a TCA in there. I'm going to make it public or enlisted. I can make it private. Let's just make it
public. Make it public. That's more impressive.
I'm going to paste some description or whatever I want to put in there. In that report I did for you, I gave it a preview. So I loaded a young gal in there for waiting. I gave it a name. Let's just say it's for, and then I'm going to open up some widgets I want to show. I don't have to show OB, but I'll turn them on, and I'll turn on social survey. And now I've added a report to my library, and I've created a presentation that's going to go into my consumer and or my agents to use to market. And so now I'll show you, we now have that in library. There it is right there.
So
quick.
So you know what I like about this? I don't know. Tell me what you think, Sosi, is if you, as a mortgage planner, you literally have kind of a library of strategies that you're having in the marketplace. So you just have an easy place to grab these, share these, and educate. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Sosi?
Yeah, I love it. I think I've tried to build something out like this on YouTube, and a library like this would be amazing. A little trick of at least my preferences. I bought a URL that's called asksosi.com. Super simple. I talk to clients, agent partners. If I had this library, I literally put it in text messages all the time, and it could just go straight to this library like it does my YouTube. So I love this concept. Way better format than YouTube.
You take that presentation, so think of what we just did. We took a TCA with your great mind, right? And the video on there. We put it into a Lender Launchpad presentation, and then I took it out to Facebook. I built an ad campaign around it. I put a preview pic on there. Now I'm running reports or an ad and driving traffic to my intellectual capital or my TCA.
Yeah, that's so good.
And then not only that, you can come in here and then especially if you're working with listing agents, right? Yeah. So you can come in here and build a property, right? Come in here and say, hey, agents, let me run, a TCA and help you with marketing, especially with COVID. And I'll run some. Now you put a TCA in their listing. So now you're teaching the consumers how to buy, options to buy. And so now all of a sudden you're running the TCA report in their property. So now they can go ahead and take this presentation, run it into marketing campaigns. And so the key thing here to take away is how critical your TCAs are and the different ways. This takes that to another level. That's great that your mind thinks that way. That's great that Dave built his platform in creating TCAs. But now let's take it to the masses and take it to the public. How do I get Sosi and Scott out to everyone I know and create more business opportunities?
Hi, Scott Nicholson, Mortgage Possible. So Eugene and I wanted to put a really special.
That's me.
So really, I see it just as a way of amplifying a particular story. Like you used the TCA to help a family. Now let's weaponize that. Put it online, wrap it around properties, and use it as a lead gen tool and a realtor education tool. So I dig it, man.
Awesome.
You definitely wowed me with that. I mean, I had seen some of this, although it looks like you've been upgrading this thing, dude. Yeah. So Sosi, you got another TCA to show us, or any questions for Scott?
No, I'm sorry. I think I might have misheard that earlier. I thought we were just going to end with the Scott wow. I didn't realize Sosi wow.
No, you don't need to do another one. You don't need to do another one.
Well, here, I'll show them one. Here's one. Here's a great one for Sosi and I in California. this is one that's in my library. You can go find it if you want on my Lender Launchpad page. But this is a client that's moving out of California. And I took your interview, Dave. What's the gentleman with 3 options?
Oh, that was good.
Alan Langer.
Yes, thank you. I built this right after because I needed to get it done for her, but I incorporated that. So what I did in this report, so this is her current mortgage. So I did her purchase, and now we're looking to refi. But now what I did is I gave her 3 options. Here's $299, $115 cash flow, not that big. But then I take the 150 and I took it on term reduction, right? So I'm building equity. So I'm paying the house off in 24 years, right? So I'm allowing her to take the savings, same payment, right? Build equity and get it ready for Texas. But then I went one step further and added that third. I said, no, let's go ahead and take the 150 and let's invest that with your financial planner. So I keep that separate from the marketplace. So let's say in 5 years when they're getting ready for Texas, and maybe that market does move, that doesn't impact the move to Texas.
Hey, move your video real quick, Scott, so we can see what that does to the net worth in the bottom right-hand corner.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we're missing the punchline right there. Your video in the bottom. There you go. All right, there we go.
So what we did so I built 17,000 of that buildup. But I gave her, but it's really kind of the same in the term reduction. It was like 16,000, right? So what she loved about option 3 is option 3, the 150 of the financial planner, protects her from any market drop, and that market drop in option 2 could hinder her move to Texas with her fiance. And I only gave her 1 rate. It's what I did with the savings. It's either cash flow, give it to me, the bank, or give it to your financial planner. And that's how I framed it.
Options. Love it.
Yep.
So let's stop sharing the screen. So mortgage coach community, my goal is every family in America gets a total cost analysis. They get transparency, they get education. And to do that, you need mortgage coaches. We need more men and women like Sosi, like Scott, teaching and training. So that's why every Wednesday at 11 o'clock, we're doing mortgage coach training. Every Thursday at 9 o'clock, we have a success coach just doing group coaching. Whatever questions you have, we're there. Every single day of the week, we have someone. I do Tuesdays interviews. I do Fridays mastermind at 9 o'clock. So if you're a loan officer and you want to be more than a transaction coordinator, and you don't want to be a loan officer that delivers fee worksheets, you want to be a loan officer that delivers advice with a total cost analysis, tune in. If you are watching this and you are a black belt or a red belt and you have some ideas like, hey, I want to show the TCA I'm doing, I want to do more of these black belt training calls like this. Sosi, I would love to have you back and to do another one because I know you got more ninja moves up going on over there. So let's maybe in a few weeks, either that or get some of your other guys in the office together. I know you run with a pack of red belts and mortgage coach. So let's do something again in a couple of weeks. You cool with that?
Looking forward to it, man. Yeah. Anything that we can do to help the passion, or at least my passion in helping families get better advice. Jeremy said it so well. I got to ask him if I could take that away from him. Great people deserve great advice. That has been a mantra in my mind since he said it. And I love it.
Well, by the way, you have my permission. It's yours. He gave it to you. Yeah. No. So by the way, I know Jeremy, and absolutely everything he says on a stage, it is his gift to the mortgage industry. So take that, run it, use it. Scott, if you could also make sure you share a link to what you talked about, either in the thread in our Facebook group. So either share it in comments. Yeah. Well, actually just share it in comments. Yeah. And then also, Scott, be thoughtful when we're doing more of these calls where you're going to take what the loan officer showed, and then you're going to say, now, here's how you can market it on Facebook. Here's how you can turn that into a lead gen strategy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people miss that, is like, hey, how do I get this to, to more people and to the masses? First, it's just the one-on-one. Hey, I got my client, deal done, move to the next one, right? So absolutely. I'll share it in the community and on the chat here.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to call this a wrap. Appreciate everybody's time. Sosi and Scott, especially
See you a lot.
appreciate your
See
time.
y'all later.
Share this with your mortgage friends, everybody. Take care.